Do 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 do. All right, so we're live.
Is that the opening jingle?
No, there's really no opening jingle. But yes, that was the opening jingle to Terrorisk episode 23. Coming at you, broadcasting live to Facebook. How are you, Chris? How are you this evening?
I'm well. How about you, Chris?
Good. Did you have a good Yom Kippur?
Baruch Hashem, that I did.
Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem, Boker Tov,
Boker Tov.
Boker Tov means fucking good morning, doesn't it?
I have no idea.
No?
No, I don't know.
You're not a pious man?
No. As we discussed previously.
Oh yeah, you're a dirty fucking Catholic. Right?
Sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, I had today off, as did Chris, because we both work for the you-know-who's, the Jews. We work for Jews.
Jewish people.
Yeah, so the companies we work for abide by Jewish holiday practice, traditional Jewish holiday practice, and Yom Kippur forbids work, all forms of work, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the sundown of yesterday until sundown of today. So I go into work tomorrow. You go into work tomorrow. Today, what did I do today with my day off? I jerked off like 80 times, man. No, that's something that's definitely more so Brendan's speed. Yeah, aside from that, what did you do today? You did laundry, right?
Bought a bonsai tree.
For your like house, or
Yeah.
where are you gonna put it in your house?
I haven't thought that through yet. Guess on my kitchen table.
Yeah, I was thinking before I met up with you. I was thinking, you know that gag where they were like, dating as an average guy is like impossible because the top 10% of the guys take like 90% of the women or something like that. No, you never heard of that? All right. Well, if you look at the chart, someone made like this stupid stick figure chart, and it's really funny. I'll show it to you. But like, and you know the concept is really funny because it's like it's ridiculous, but it's still funny. And like earlier, I was like reversing it in my head. I was like, because like I saw this girl post earlier about the status about how like she was lamenting. She was like, none of my simps are real. If you were real, I would have had like a squishmallow pillow by now, you know, and whatever. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, you know, the problem with simps is that the top 10% of the women hog 90% of the benefits from the Sims.
That's true.
You know, so
I was gonna say like it does work the other way around. Like 10% of the guys get 90% of the women, and 10% of the women get 90% of the Sims.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen like plenty of cases. I mean, simping is real. Like that's definitely a real thing. I've seen
There's a lot of
instances-
websites dedicated to that, and
not even websites, like even on like the more mundane social networking platforms like Facebook, you'll have someone going, oh, I can't pay my fucking rent, I need $300, can you just send it to me, and here's a pic.
Yeah,
you know, like
here's the Cash App.
Yeah, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo me.
No, it's very real. It's very true.
I mean, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. I guess it's a living.
No, I mean if someone wants to give you money, just do it. I don't care.
But I do kind of feel for that. You know, it's like it makes sense. Like where like the top 10% of the chicks, they're there collecting all the money, all the Nintendo Switches, all the Teslas, right? And then they're looking at all the other chicks, right? And then you see them like pushing them to like act the same way. It's like, yeah, be a total slut on Instagram or Twitter, and you'll have a bunch of guys like lining up in your DMs, like trying to fucking give you shit and give you money. And realistically, it's not going to happen for most of them. For most of them, they're just going to get the cold shoulder. I mean, maybe they'll get a bite, but that's like few and far between. But like, realistically, what happens is the top echelon of e-thoughts,
The founding fathers of e-thoughts, if you will.
Yeah, the ones who basically,
the
ones who are always controlling the monopoly, the board members, I guess. Like, those are the people like you would think, why would you want competition? Why would you want these fucking low level thoughts coming up and trying to compete? It's because first of all, they know those low level thoughts are never going to take over, and they need those low level thoughts there to stimulate the market. Because if they're there, then the top dogs get to be there as like a direct contrast. You know, they're like,
They're
oh,
going to drive up the price.
exactly. They're like, look at this sea of fucking of rabble and fucking it's like unfuckable beasts just littering your feed, and here I am, you know, like
For just $10 a month.
for just $10 a month, you could see more of me, you know, in the face of all this fucking rabble, and yeah, so that's my theory anyway. That's why I think
It's like the stock market of thoughts. Like,
yeah, supply
all
and
the top,
demand.
yeah, all the people at the top, they encourage everyone at the bottom to put in their meager wages to drive up the price.
Oh my God! Speaking of grifts, like economic grifts at the expense of women, do you know who Edward Bernays is?
No.
This guy is like, I don't even know why I bring this up. Actually, no, I do. So this guy, Edward Bernays, first and foremost, like biographically, he is a nephew of Sigmund Freud.
Okay.
He's like a huge fan, sucks his dick and all that shit. So Edward Bernays came up with this brilliant idea. You know, I think he was already in advertising or marketing or something like that, kind of, or maybe he was already an entrepreneur, but he was also like well versed in psychology and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And fucking, he got commissioned. I forgot what the exact circumstances were, but he got commissioned by a major tobacco distribution company. You know, because sales were going down. I think it was what was it, after like World War I or something, or maybe it was prior, or it was around those times. Like I think it was around the 20s. And cigarette sales were slumping partially because like, you know, a lot of the guys were like dying, and if men are dying, then there's less dudes.
He figured out how to market to women.
Yeah. So what he did, he was like, he tied the act of like smoking cigarettes as a woman to women's liberation. And
Yes.
Yeah.
I've seen things like that. Yeah.
so
yeah.
he was able to convince like basically half the American population, like if you smoke cigarettes, you're standing up for women's rights.
Yeah.
You know, and like because prior to that, he took it. He what he leveraged was the cultural stigma. The cultural stigma was already there before him.
Yeah.
It was that women weren't allowed
You
to
just
smoke
take
cigarettes.
advantage
It was
of it,
unladylike for a lady to smoke cigarettes. So he came in. He was like, "Oh, it's unladylike, right? Well, I don't see how it's illegal. And if it's illegal, then I could use that to make money." So that's what he did. He was like, "Yo,
That definitely had to be like after World War II, because like what flappers were like the Roaring '20s, and like those women like were outgoing and they smoked, which was like not the social norm at the time.
yeah."
So they were rare. So it would have been after the '20s, I would guess.
I mean, if you
want
to look at like a lot more nefarious version of that, you would look at like, say, like, you know, things that were considered taboo at one point very recently in modern times, and that are like, you see it in like accepted kind of in mainstream media, like in you ever heard of that show HBO Euphoria?
Yeah, I haven't watched it, but I know.
Yeah, like nobody that we consider rational in our day and age would be like, yeah, children should be subjected to doing sex work. You know, they should be cam girls online so that older guys can jack off to them. You know, we would think, are you fucking crazy? But then in the show Euphoria, it was like framed as like this empowering thing, and yeah, it caused a lot of controversy. And I mean, maybe I am comparing apples to oranges, but it still kind of rings like. Because, like, I mean, all right, let's go back to the original example with the whole cigarettes thing. Like, that, like, more women smoking cigarettes did nothing ultimately for women's liberation. If anything, ultimately harmed it because it made more chicks have lung cancer. And I don't see how that's good for...
There was nothing positive about encouraging women to smoke. It was, all purpose of it was completely nefarious.
But it made a lot of money. That's the one
Yeah.
reason why you would do it.
Yeah.
So same thing, you know, in, like, Euphoria. Like, you know, I feel like certain powers would stand to make a lot of money facilitating these internet webcam shows of like, you know, questionably aged young girls just like performing and shit. So,
well, society like has been pushing that forever. Like just like how young women are very like questionable young women are like more desirable, and sexualizing them, and that's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Well, the point is, what's the point? Society's been using women.
Not just
You know?
women. It's not just women. You know, it's just. I mean, it's like, are we gonna say? Look, a lot of people, a lot of intellectuals will draw the line at capitalism. They'll be like, oh, it's only this fucked up because of the commodification of everything. It's because everything has to have a set value, and because everything has a set value, nothing is fucking sacred. You know, that's their argument. Which, you know, they might be right. All things considered, like I might not necessarily 100% disagree with them, but I'm like, you know, this seems so deep seated, like beyond just a dollar value. Like it seems like it might actually extend to like human nature and survival and the chaotic nature of the universe and the world we live in. But I don't know. That's just maybe that's just a weed speaking, you know. Like
Could be. I don't know. You're onto something.
no, I'm really not. Don't ever say I'm onto something. If you empower me, I will become such a fucking scumbag. Like that's why like
I have the power cord like in my grass just in case.
I feel like everyone in my life who actually knows me can sense my latent power, but they'll never entertain it because they know nothing good will come of it.
Yeah, no. Nothing. That's why you gotta nip it in the bud.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm a persistent fucker, and you know, if I ever get to a position of influence, power, and abundance, who knows what the fuck I'll do? I'll either do great things or terrible things. I'm not biased.
Most people with power do terrible things.
I mean,
Most.
yeah, but all right. So that's like relevant to them as an individual. You as a person did terrible things, great. But if you look at the bigger picture and like, you know, on the grand scale of things, sometimes people had to do terrible things for great things to happen afterwards.
You know Robert Moses, right?
No.
You know Moses Mountain?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know Moses Mountain.
All right. Do you know what Moses Mountain is? Like why it's kind of called that?
No.
So all the reason that's there, because that was all ground that was dug up when they built the Sound Expressway. Robert Moses was in charge of, I forget his exact job title, but he was basically in charge of city infrastructure from like the early 1900s until like the 70s, something like that.
Yeah.
And like, you know, mayors come and go, but he was always there. He had more power than anyone else in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Because of him is why we have all of our highways. Is
Was
why
he
we
like,
have,
when you say big, was he like Vanderbilt big?
he wasn't like a private company owner, like his political power wise. He was, you couldn't get anything done or built in New York unless you went through him.
So he must have been a
'Cause
great
he
man.
Depends how you look at things. he had the knowledge to see like, you know, this city's gonna be fucked if we don't build highways and have this figured out, because like the traffic wasn't a big issue then when he started everything, but he knew it would be. So he built the FDR, the BQE, the Belt Parkway, the Sound Expressway, the Long Island Expressway. He built all of that. Crossroad, like all that shit. But like he destroyed neighborhoods doing it. Like he like ran right through neighborhoods and kicked people out and destroyed their homes, destroyed businesses, changed neighborhoods, economics forever.
Wait, question. Were these people, what was the ethnicity of the people he came
Oh,
and
I don't
kicked
know.
out?
Why don't you think about it and tell me what they would have been? They would have been, the only time he got a big, they were mostly poor, obviously. The only time he got a big stink was when he did the FDR, because that ran through more wealthy areas of Manhattan.
Look, the way I see it, none of it matters if it didn't happen to the Native Americans, because they've been through enough. If it happened to the fucking damn Dutch, the goddamn English, the goddamn Hispanics, the goddamn black people, the goddamn Asians, whatever, you know, like who cares about their neighborhoods? It's the Native Americans' land at the end of the day.
Yeah, but we're kind of past that in terms of what I'm talking about.
Oh, that happened way too long ago. Okay,
yeah, I'm just saying, like, it's, yes, it is their land, but that's a different.
I mean, so if anything, maybe you could think of it like karma, you know, like karmic return. It's like, see, you think you could just, you know, like.
No, I can't. It's not how that. I wouldn't
No,
say
no,
that.
it doesn't. That doesn't track.
No.
You know, it was a fun movie the whole time I was watching this movie, I was thinking the whole time, I was like, I bet you Chris watched this movie, and I bet he at least kind of likes it. I was watching Gangs of New York.
Oh, I kind of like Gangs of New York. I like the aesthetic because that's like perfect, and I like the time period it takes place in. But what I don't like about that movie is I don't know what the fuck it's trying to do. Like it's about like
the most
5 points.
Yeah.
And Irish gangs and like relations between like Democratic Party and Irish immigrants. But it's also about the Civil War draft, how like they burned their draft cards, about the riot in New York where all the poor people like ended up burning parts of Manhattan, killing rich people, and then killing black people
Yeah.
because they blamed black people for them having to be drafted to the Civil War.
Yeah.
But the movie doesn't know what it wants to do. It does all those things.
Maybe that's what New York was. Maybe it was that much of a clusterfuck during those
Oh,
times.
it was. It's like the time period it picked is like really like
A clusterfuck time period.
It was like a real turning point in New York City because that's like 80s, something like that. No, that's too late.
I
Before
think
1860s.
I think ultimately though you are right. That movie just went like completely off the rails.
It just
by the
didn't
end.
know what it wanted to do. It just wasn't cohesive. But
It's just I remember the very last scene was what bugged me out the most. Is when like they were at the grave of the guy or whatever, and then they
Oh, and the
left,
city,
and
like,
then they had the
changes built
time
over
the
Yeah.
time. I was like that bugged me. I was like really
that was really stupid.
I
yeah.
think that was the most like audacious part of it.
No, that was-
you guys really did that. You guys really went for it.
Wow,
Like,
New York has changed in 120 or 30 years. I'm shocked. What? No one remembers the Irish guy that died and is buried. I'm like, it's like no one does. Why would they? That's silly.
oh, but I can't remember though. If it
Or
was
maybe it's symbolic of New York burying their history and moving on.
wait, when did that movie fucking come out?
Late 2000s, I think. Mid to
Late 2000s?
Yeah, mid to late 2000s.
Ignore it.
Dumb. We're doing something.
Wait, so did that movie happen before or after the Twin Towers?
After.
After the Twin Towers?
It depends what the ending scene is.
No, because I'm saying if the ending scene
I'm
was
like
really-
90% sure that takes place after 9/11.
I was gonna say because if the ending was really accurate, then they would have the Twin Towers.
Well, no, if it would have been when the movie came out, they cut the Twin Towers out of Spider-Man. They're gonna cut it out of that movie.
I'm just saying because like the way they framed that whole like time lapse segment, it's like they did the whole thing. So if realistically, they should have fucking included the Twin Towers going up then going down like real quick, like. You know,
I don't think you were even allowed to show the towers in a movie until like I want to say the 2010s or like the mid 2010s. Like I feel like maybe that movie with the flight whatever about 9/11. I feel like that's the first time they like anyone showed the towers in a movie again.
Did you saw Wolf of Wall Street, right?
Yeah.
Did they show the Twin Towers in that
No.
movie? No, never, not once.
There's no reason to.
I mean, what do you mean there's no fucking reason to? It was like an integral part of the skyline for so many of these fucking offices. Like,
Yeah, but that movie never I felt like relied on just like doing any shots like that because it didn't need to. That's not what it was about.
yeah, no, you say that as a New Yorker. You as a New Yorker
No.
can
See,
watch that.
I love like I am a sucker for like anything very New Yorky, like just when it shows like that aesthetic or like old parts of it or like how people in New York behave and like the different things about it, like the culture of New York. I love that shit.
Yeah, they always get something wrong though, but that's always understandable because like it's just so dense with detail. You can't expect to get everything.
I got really mad at was it John Wick 3?
Oh, yeah.
I like those movies, but like I was watching in the theater and
You're like, wait a minute.
No, so there's a part where he's on a bike and I guess he's running away from some guys, and he's in Manhattan. That's confirmed, and he rides into like those horse stables, like you'll see on the west side or whatever, like kind of by the Jacob Javits.
Yeah.
He drives into there, has a whole fight thing. Then like his bike's fucked up, so he grabs a horse and he's riding a horse. I'm okay with that still. But when he pops out of the horse stable, he's on 18th Avenue in Brooklyn. And I'm like, no. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Why did that happen? It just bugged me. But then it's not over yet. So he's running down on a horse down 18th Avenue, and I'm like, that's stupid. Then he gets on the Manhattan Bridge. Like you see the facade of the Manhattan Bridge, but he gets on it from the Manhattan side because it has the big, the big like entrance or whatever. And I'm like, whatever, I'll get over it. But then it has shots of him on the bridge. Maybe he was on the bike then, whatever. But it has shots of him on the bridge. You know what bridge he was on? The Verrazano.
Oh no.
And then when he gets off the Verrazano, he's back in Manhattan. He gets off the same part he came in from.
Continuity issues.
It really pissed me off.
Honestly, that's not even.
But no one would notice that. It's not a big deal. But like, it was just like, come on.
That's not even like the worst one I've seen. The worst one I've seen recently was Mr. and Mrs. Smith, where there was a scene where him and his wife just realized they're both like living with a competitive hitman, So there was a scene where, I mean, in the very beginning of the movie, it was established that Mrs. Smith drives a Mercedes hatchback while Mr. Smith drives a Cadillac sedan, So stereotypical. But like fucking, they're both rushing home, right? To make dinner at 7 to get to this awkward like standoff dinner. And like there's a scene where he's like rushing home, like, "Arr!" And they show the car peeling around the suburban bend. And it was a fucking Lincoln Town car. And you were like, dude, that's not your car. Like, whose fucking car is that? You think I didn't notice it just because it's night? But, dude, I fucking noticed it. You drive a silver Cadillac. That's a fucking Lincoln Town car. And then, like, it pissed me off because when he was in the driveway and you see him inside the car, inside the cockpit, it's literally a Cadillac sedan, the interior. I was like, I see it, dude. You're not fooling anybody. And he puts the ring on it and shit. It's like, are you going to tell me that Lincoln Town car has that kind of compartment? It's like, no. I was like, it didn't make any sense, and it pissed me off. And it pissed me off even further towards the end of the movie. Like, there was a scene, like, long after they did their fighting and all that shit. Like, they were going for their last standoff, and they had to separate at a restaurant because she tried to kill him. He escaped. And then he's like, he steals a car to, like, get home quick because he was away from his car. And guess what car he steals?
Oh, same brand?
A fucking Lincoln Town car.
Oh, yeah.
So what they did is they took the scene from, like, oh, wow.
Sorry.
So, so they fucking took the scene that was meant later, and they just used it. They used the cut of it.
Yeah, when they reuse scenes. Who's famous for doing that? I think Michael Bay's like famous for doing that.
Yeah, but there's a right way to do that. I mean, there's that's just being resourceful. But if it's like so,
sometimes it's not always your fault.
But
like,
it's so sloppy.
The studio does that, like in like the Star Trek movies, like the older ones. They reused like this one. They reused this one shot of this space station like 3 times, and in one of them they just flip it upside down.
Yeah. That's different. That's like
That's
if
for
it's
special
like
cheat to save on special effects.
like a scenic transition or a pan over. Yeah. Next time she calls, just pick it up or put it on speaker. We'll
Nah, I
fucking
ain't doing that.
No.
Go on.
Yeah. Well, whatever. I don't know. I just wish, like, when it comes to editing, because editing is the one thing where you literally leave nothing up to variables. Acting out the scene is different. That's why you have to do take after take after take, because every performance is going to be different. Every delivery of the lines are going to be different. But fucking, when it comes to editing, it's like you have no fucking excuse. You had time to literally go back, re-chop it, re-edit it, redo it, and to like keep everything in continuity. Like, you didn't have to fucking do it that way, thinking like nobody would fucking notice. Respect your audience, man.
People run out of time, not being paid enough to pay that much attention.
I mean, fuck, I should be an editor at this point. If like my standards are higher than like blockbuster movie standards, like, come on.
Well, so I mean, like, I know who Mr. and Mrs. Smith is targeted at, and just like John Wick 3 is targeted at to people who wouldn't care that much about that detail.
No. Yeah, I get that. No, trust me, I consider all that.
Yeah.
The only reason why it bothered me so much was because everything about the movie was actually really fucking tight. Mm-hmm. It didn't need gratuitous violence. It didn't need like a lot of shit that you would see in the same genre or similar genre. It actually did a lot with very, very little, considering it was like a high tier action film, and there were some like crazy huge set pieces for sure. But like, you look at any other action movie and it's like gratuitously something, too much of something, too many explosions, too many car chases, too many shootouts where a guy isn't reloading. But Mr. and Mrs. Smith did it pretty fucking well. And what really sold that movie to me was the dialogue. Like, everything that was, it was very subtle. It was subtle. It was subtle movement of the plot, and we should just fucking watch it, man. I think you would like it.
No, I don't think I would. Maybe.
Check it out, man. It's actually, I think it's one of Brad Pitt's best performances. And Brad Pitt is like, he's such a good actor, but he's like the cringed guy's actor. He was in like Fight Club and fucking and Mr. and Mrs. Smith and fucking.
But I've never known anyone to say like, "Oh, Brad Pitt's my favorite actor." Not like maybe when I was a teenager, someone probably said Fight Club was the best movie ever, and Brad Pitt's amazing. But I feel like I don't hear that anymore.
Yeah.
But he was definitely that. I mean, like, Fight Club was those type of people.
No, I think he's an awesome dude. I mean, not
He's
an awesome
fine.
dude. I think he's an awesome actor. I don't know
Yeah.
if he's an awesome fucking dude. He could be a scumbag for all I know.
It's very possible.
I mean, it's hard to imagine like actors that are good actors and also awesome dudes. I mean, there's like Keanu Reeves. I feel like that's a fucking given. Everyone just looks at Keanu Reeves like, yo, he's got like a 10-inch cock and he donates like hundreds of dollars and hundreds of ounces of blood a year to orphans. Like, because he's just Keanu Reeves. He's like Jesus among actors. He could do no wrong. That's why it would be so viciously scandalous if like he was ever caught doing something like fucked up, like, like if there was ever a big scandal involving Keanu Reeves.
Oh, it'd be huge, yeah, because it's something people would talk about. It'd be like finally, like someone has knocked Keanu Reeves down a peg.
I fucked little boys. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but how did he do it though? Like,
was he? Like, was
were
it
they
like,
asking for it?
Was
Like,
it? Was it like a dude feeding pigeon breadcrumbs at the park? Like,
we don't know the circumstances.
Were they
did he like give him money at? Did he buy him a house? Like,
he's Keanu Reeves, for fuck's sake. You got to let him fuck a boy or two.
he's not an
like,
unreasonable person. There had to be a good reason for it.
Look, I know that if he did something like that he did it for. He had his reasons. Okay, like. Sometimes rich and powerful and good men of the cloth like have to let their sins out once in a while.
Sometimes you look at someone's actions and you don't know why they did it, but with time, in retrospect, you realize there may have been a reason for Keanu Reeves to have sex with little boys.
Absolutely. He is the man after all. You can't judge him
Pushing the table.
Can't judge him for anything he does.
I disagree.
Yo, I got a question. I probably even shouldn't be asking you this on the mic, but she's not gonna give a shit. When was the party we were supposed to go to at Zuka's?
Oh, I don't know offhand. Actually, I forgot to write it down. It's on my phone though, somewhere.
It's somewhere. So
it's on Facebook.
It's on a weekend. Is it next weekend or this weekend coming up?
Shit, I didn't even check that. I figured it was like the weekend before. If I don't check now, I'm going to forget.
Yeah, so, wow. We're both terrible friends.
I was also expecting you to say something maybe before I thought about it.
Well, I guess I was the one who said it. That means between the two of us, ultimately, I am the more responsible.
I just forgot to write it down.
If only your parents had a son like me.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe things are a bit different.
They barely have a son like me.
They barely have a son like me.
I was at my grandparents the other day, and my grandmother was randomly like, "Oh, like my father's name is John." She's like, "Oh, John, you're raised a fine son." I'm like, "Who did what?"
He didn't raise shit.
I won't go that far. I'm like, huh? I didn't hear you.
My dad was never home. My mom could never hear me. She wouldn't listen. Nobody raised me, all right? Like, nobody fucking raised me. I raised myself.
By television. I'll look that up later now. Because I don't know how to work Facebook.
Yeah, you Chris, you were definitely saddled with a lot of responsibility. But that also makes me realize, like, on the surface, to me, you're a very good guy. And, on the surface, I'm sure I'm also a really good guy to a lot of people. So I could relate to you, right? But that's how I kind of, have this, theory. Not an assumption, but a theory. I think you got a lot of darkness and sin in your heart, my son.
Well, not bad darkness. Fun darkness. Good darkness.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's good darkness.
That's a good darkness.
Not the bad darkness.
Nah?
Nah. Not
No.
a violent, mean, conniving person.
All right. But it is dark.
Well, I find terrible things hilarious. Just things that are inappropriate and shouldn't be funny, I think are hysterical.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, I used to feel that way, but I got tired of that. Now it's
not in an edgy way. I just like a lot of dark humor.
No. I totally. I'm reading you loud and clear, but eventually that lost its rush to me. Laughing at terrible things. So I was like, I'm tired of just laughing at it because I feel at the end of the day, you just feel like a jerk because everyone else gets to feel sad and they get to feel meaningful about it. And here I am just stuck as this cynical asshole just laughing at the terrible things that happen in this world. I wanted more. So it's if I couldn't feel that way as the same thing as, the least common denominator does or the lowest common denominator does, if I couldn't feel the same way as them and I was tired of being the cynical asshole, then I was like, maybe I could make some fucking money off of it. So when COVID happened, that was around the time when I really got into the stock market because, that was
a lot of people.
That was my first thought. When COVID started happening, I was like, oh, this, whatever. It's like SARS, I guess. And then it got worse. And I was like, oh, this might get bad to the point where things might stop. And I was thinking, I was like, all right, things might stop. I'll probably still have a job because my job literally like leeches off of businesses doing bad, so it was only a plus for them.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking, I was like, how could I make fucking money off of this? And I was like, all right, I already. And the answer
We
came,
were talking about that actually. You were talking about expecting the market to like plummet.
It did,
And yeah,
it did, and I made
No,
a lot
I mean,
of
no, it
fucking
did.
money on the
Yeah.
way up. I was
Yeah.
like, this is awesome, because it was
you
like,
and a lot of other short sellers. I feel like that's why short sellers are even like bigger like now.
yeah, because now we're in a bear market.
Yeah.
Because now we're dealing with another factor, which is the Ukraine war and shit. The only thing was nothing would have given quite the same kind of opportunity as COVID did, because the thing about like COVID being such a buying opportunity is because the economy before that was like doing so fucking good. I mean, seriously. Like,
Oh, I know. Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah. You're on like
were good.
52-week average highs were like going crazy,
Things were good.
and when COVID happened, it just plummeted, right?
Yeah.
And it was like a whiplash kind of moment. A lot of people's lives were ruined, I'm sure, but not as many as you would think. It didn't seem as bad as like 2008, and I think that was because of the internet, because people were like able to like swap information a lot faster.
Well, the way the market crash was not as bad as 08 for sure.
But no matter what, though, the investors still pulled out, so it still created a
Well, yeah,
buying
they always do.
opportunity for like. And it was weird because around the time COVID happened was also the exact perfect time when like a regular asshole could come in and like start buying securities, like, and start investing in ETFs. Like it just happened at it was the perfect storm for retail investors to just swarm in. It's almost like to the point where it's like, it seems kind of planned to like stimulate the market in the grand. Nah, that's just me sounding like really schizophrenic, so I'm not even gonna like entertain that. But I think there's something to it. Maybe there is a bigger picture where it's almost like if COVID never happened, then you would never have had that swarm of retail investors just flooding the market, propping it up even further for another 10 years, kicking the can down the lane. I don't know. Seems to me a little fishy.
Definitely is. Like how one political party supports fossil fuels and things like that because there's so many big, high and rich people who are heavily invested in that.
Yes, sir.
And to put less money into that wouldn't be so good. Unless
Damn.
they pulled out and bought into green stuff, and then they would talk shit about it.
Yeah. Oh well. Do you think Russia's gonna win this war?
I don't know. It's not looking good.
For Russia?
Yeah, and they just started draft, and the citizens aren't so happy about that. I mean, like the public opinion is very against them. They haven't won already, because like with Georgia was mad quick, if I recall, when they invaded Georgia, but the Ukraine thing's like really dragging on a lot longer than I think that they expected. And also, yeah, it's making them look really bad.
Fucking Stalin, man.
I heard Putin might even step down just, publicly. Like, have an election and just not run and have his stooge run.
Putin just wants to relax at this point and fuck.
No, not relax. He just doesn't want to be the center of attention, I think. He wants to go back into, like, the background.
Nah, he knows that's never going to happen. He's too smart for that. You mean, like, because that's where he comes from. He comes from, like...
KGB.
Yeah, he comes from the global intelligence community. And it is a community, like the CIA, MI6, KGB, whatever Germany's got going on. South America has their own, like, circuit.
I don't think the Germans are allowed to anymore.
No, they do.
No, I know, of course they do.
No, Germans have, like,
No,
a
of course they do,
crazy
yeah.
intelligence agency. But
a
I think,
joke.
like, one of the most, like... Actually, nah, it's not even underrated at this point. Like the Mossad is always doing crazy shit.
Yeah.
Like those are the guys that'll set up the rich oil sheiks with like child prostitutes and then catch them in the act and be like, now you work for us. Otherwise,
All of them, like, do that, though. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know if they do it regularly, but I mean, like, that's something, I forget what you call that.
Oh yeah, the CIA does that. Yeah.
It's like honeypotting. pretty much,
Honeypotting,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a thing like they all do. They know how to do.
Yeah, it's definitely terrifying, I think. But you know what they say: if you have nothing to hide, then you have nothing to worry about.
No.
Yeah, no, that's a really bad argument.
Yeah,
for
because
sure.
anybody could find anything to destroy you to somebody.
Yeah, for sure. No, everyone's got something to hide to someone. Like, that's the point.
Like, remember Elliot Spitzer, the governor from? Ah, shit. Was I in?
This
I don't know.
thing's crazy. Look at this thing. I just opened this up. You want to try it?
Was it mint?
It's menthol.
I've used mangoes. It's pretty cool. I like it. But Elliot Spitzer. You remember Elliot Spitzer?
No, I do not.
He was. Remember the governor we had, James Patterson, the guy who was blind.
In New York? No.
If you remember this, is like late 2000s.
No.
All right, so after, was it Pataki was our governor, and then this guy Elliot Spitzer ran, and he won. Before that, Elliot Spitzer was a guy who went after corrupt politicians and caught a lot of people and fucked a lot of people. And he became governor. And a very short while into his term, was I in freshman year, something like that, but very shortly into his term,
they dumped on him.
He got exposed for fucking prostitutes.
They dumped on his ass.
And he had to resign because he fucked prostitutes.
Yeah.
Me personally, I'm like, that doesn't mean you can't do that job. All right, the guy fucks whores. That's his business. As long as they're like legit and of age, I don't care.
You know what you would
okay with it.
You know what show you would really like? I think you'd like Atlanta.
I like Atlanta.
You watched it?
Not all of it. I've watched some of it. I like Atlanta.
That show is so fucking funny.
Yeah, I like Atlanta.
So funny. They did this one episode. It was like a riff on how Italian fashion designer brands would accidentally release some of the most racist shit ever. So like in the beginning of this episode, like some like Gucci like kind of esque company fashion designer brand came out with this like jersey, you know, like more for like the urban scene, and just it said like Central Park 5 for the 5 boroughs of New York. And the ad was like this white girl wearing this shirt like laying on the grass and like 5 black dudes around her.
That's pretty funny.
I was like, oh my god! I cracked, and then like the it had a mascot, like a cartoon raccoon on it.
Oh, that's bad.
I was like, yo, this is.
Did you ever see? Did you ever watch Nathan For You?
Yes, I did watch Nathan For You.
Do you remember the one where he wants to he finds out the jacket he always wears, the company made a racist ad at some point, or like supported the Nazis back in the day.
Yeah. So I remember that.
So he makes his own clothing line and gets
Holocaust themed.
Gets a rabbi to back it and be like, show the swastikas, show like the camps, everything like that, and his clothes have like swastikas on them.
And this sporting goods store had a whole Holocaust.
He's like, I'm not gonna put like fucking swastikas up all around my store. He's like, yeah, but it's about like, you know, like reminding people and like letting them know like
you're Jewish, aren't you? Isn't this a Jewish-owned business? Like,
but then it's great because the rabbi comes and like the guy's telling him, he's like, I'm not doing that. He's like, that's crazy. And the rabbi's like, and Nathan's like, you told me, like, you know, it's important to show these things. And he's like, yeah, but maybe
this is a little too.
He's like maybe I went a little too far, but he still like won't admit he's wrong.
Yeah, no. Nathan For You did some fucked up shit, like with the gas station and the coupon. That was fucked.
That's great. She was genius.
Yeah,
that's why you gotta watch the rehearsal. It's even better.
This is why you got to see how stuff works. It's a really good show. I think Nathan also like partially produced it. He backed it. It's just it's solid. Like there's a whole episode about scaffolding, and then like it's about scaffolding, but it'll like tell you nothing about fucking scaffolding. And you're like, all right.
Oh, I thought it actually told you how to do shit.
Kinda. Not really. Sorta, but yeah. Fucking A.
I like that.
Yeah. And I don't know. It's like I guess it's a really like irreverent kind of vibe, and I hate that word. Oh shit, we're only at fucking 40 minutes.
This is dragging.
No, I don't think it's dragging. I think it's because like I'm so concerned with time at the back of my head. Like it feels like it's dragging because I'm like, I don't want it to go too long. Don't want it to go too short. I want it to end right on time. But it's okay. I mean, I think like that's when usually podcasts get really good. You know, when you think you're on your game, it's like, yeah, whatever. And then you start to lose steam, and then you realize, oh shit, we're stuck here. You know, that's when it gets fucking good. You know, that's when it's like the real you actually comes out. But, you know, it's best not to think about that because, like, you might not like what comes out. You know what I mean?
You didn't ask me why I bought a bonsai tree before.
Why the fuck did you buy a bonsai tree, Chris?
I was in the mall, and there's a bonsai tree store, which I don't go to the mall. I haven't been there in a while. And it's just a bonsai tree store. I'm like, huh. Let me just look. So I just go and I look around, and it's this little Asian guy and his wife in the back. Store's like nobody else in there. I was looking around, and he's like, hi. I'm like, hi, how you doing? He's like, everything half off. I was like, what? Everything today, half off. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, shit. I'm like, do I have to buy something now? So I was like looking around, and he just, as I'm looking at one of them, he just gets up. He's like, I'll show you how to water it. And he takes it and you dump it like in the water until into the bottom of like a tub of water until the bubbles stop coming up and it's full. Then you take it out. Then you just spray some water on the leaves. He's like, there. And I'm like, shit, I have to buy this now.
You got to trim it too.
Yeah. But he was just like, I'm just saying, like, the guy's salesmanship was just so good. I walk in, half off. I was like, motherfucker.
You know what? I got a story for you. Do you know how I started buying Zippos again?
Mm-mm.
All right. So I was riding my bike around Highland Plaza. You know Highland Plaza.
I've heard of it.
So this was back when I still lived by Bay Terrace, so I was relatively close. I was on my way back home, and I see the smoke shop, the cigar store. It's been there since, like, I don't know.
Oh, that guy's the worst.
Yeah.
Well, you bought it from
store.
him?
So I go in there, right?
I hate that guy.
I go in there.
He's such a jerk.
I go in there because I needed tobacco for my weed. I mean, yeah, because I roll spliffs, haha. Anyway, so I go in there to maybe, you know, I could get like some bulk tobacco. And I go in, and right away the guy's like, everything's half off. Everything half off because we're closing. Everything's half. And I look at the sign. I was like, oh, shit. Would you look at that? So
really went out of business.
Yeah, they were going out of business. So
Oh,
everything in
okay.
the store was half off. I bought that bong. I bought like a bunch of Zippos. I bought that big thing of lighter fluid. Bought a lot of shit. I bought this fucking rolling tin tray. I bought that ashtray.
I hate that guy. Guy's such a jerk.
Yeah, but I went in there at the perfect time.
Well,
I
yeah.
feel like, yeah, you
No,
know?
it was great. No, but I don't think I went to that bonsai store at the perfect time. I think the guy just wanted to sell something because nobody was in the store.
Oh, he just fleeced
And-
you.
No, I don't say he fleeced me. Then again, I was looking at some of them like I mean, like I know like a lot of them can go for like around $100 depending how they look, and some of them are around that price. Some are a little bit more, but like he could have just, but like that could just be his shtick.
Yeah.
Like one person probably walks in at a time or two, and like half off just for you today.
You should have checked retail price of those things, man.
I spent $20. I didn't buy a big one. I didn't want a big one because I've never had one before, so I wasn't gonna do that. So a little small one.
I don't know. It's hard to tell a bonsai tree because there's different breeds of them.
Well, there are different kinds inside.
Yeah. So that's one aspect. Man. Yo, honestly, I was you know what we should have did? We should have got some cocaine before we did this.
No,
No, you're not into that?
No.
You don't do cocaine?
no, it's not my thing.
Well, you're missing out, bud, cuz like, yo, I do cocaine like a motherfucker. I do cocaine sometimes, and I'll do the most horrible things. But because I'd be on cocaine, I'd be like, this is good for me. You know, this is good for society. The fact that I'm doing this horrible thing. In some
Someone's
way.
got to do it.
Someone's got to do it. You know, it makes the good people look that much better.
That's true. It helps balance.
Yep. The force is grander than your than your limited notions of good and evil.
Yeah. Mine's running out.
Call me Jolie Bindo. That's who I am.
Nah, you're not Jolie. I do cocaine. I'm Jolie Bindo. No, you're not. He was a hermit.
do
He was helping
cocaine.
the Wookiees. You're not helping anybody.
All right, you know what's a funny trope? Speaking of cocaine, so it's funny how like you go to any house party or any party in general, and you know like throughout the party, most of it's like a good time. Everyone's getting drunk, having a good time, partying, loud music, whatever.
Until
until you go into the coke room. and as soon
I
as
know what you're talking.
it's either a bathroom or a bedroom or something, but you know when it's the coke room, and you walk into the fucking coke room, and suddenly it's not chill anymore. Suddenly it's not a good time anymore. Everyone's serious. Everyone's like really focused on this one conversation. Everyone's got ideas. Everyone's got shit to talk. And then you're like, what the fuck? And then you do some cocaine, and suddenly you got some shit to talk.
You can't go back to the party now.
Mm-hmm.
You found the party within the party. Now you're here. This is it.
It's the final stop, the coke room of the party. It's like so depressing. That's why it's like,
No, there's worse rooms than that room.
what's the worst room than the coke room?
I don't know. There's got to be a worse room.
No, there is no worse room than the coke room. The coke room truly is the worst room. Even if it was a room where someone was like puking their brains out or puking and shitting, at least it's funny to see. In the coke room, the problem is everyone takes themselves too seriously on cocaine. Like, you ever look at like comedians on coke? You just can't be funny on coke. It's hard.
Richard Pryor would disagree.
No, seriously, coke is just not a funny drug. You're not in a funny mood. It's because coke gives you this delusion that you're still cool and that you matter. Whereas to truly be funny, you have to realize you're a piece of shit and you're a fucking loser.
Well,
Then you could be fucking funny. You know, like
absolutely.
on coke, you're like in this mode where it's like, oh no, I'm cool, I'm the man. You know, like, but that's not funny because it's not true. The truth is funny.
Like the coke room. I thought that was the truth.
The truth of the coke room is funny, but not like the experience of the coke room. The experience of the coke room is the last thing.
It must be something for someone who doesn't drink or do anything to walk through a party, like with each area of the party having like something different going on. Like
Honestly, no, because I don't know a single person who quote unquote never drinks who hasn't drunk before. Everyone's drank before.
Oh, no, absolutely, yeah.
Like, if you think about it, like everyone you know who's never drank, most of them were like former alcoholics.
Not always, but I mean,
Most of them.
for most people, it depends. Like for you not to drink, like there's usually a bad experience attached with that you've had personally, or other things that you've seen.
All right,
that make you
cool.
feel a certain
So
way about
usually
stuff.
you agree with that. Usually that's the case. Now,
Usually.
with every bad drinking experience, right? Every single bad one, there was that one moment in between you being sober and you being way too drunk that was really, really good.
Yeah,
That's the only thing that'll push you to.
That's the trick to it.
Yeah.
It's you knowing where your limit is and where to stop.
So I think no matter what, with alcohol, like most people could empathize. You know, it's like I could see why you want to keep drinking. You know, like I could kind of get it.
Yeah,
and
for
if
the
you
most
don't
part.
get it, if you never get it, it's so normalized societally that even as a kid, you're gonna be like, I want to try that. You know, like
Well, yeah.
everyone else does it. Why the fuck can't I?
I grew up watching Homer Simpson and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh, so you were a beer guy.
Well, no, but I'm like, I'll drink beer one day. That'll be cool. They do that.
I think what really made me want to drink was the aesthetic of whiskey drinking. You know, just a glass, whether it's ice or no ice. Sometimes the lemon twist, if you're feeling a little frisky. Scotch instead of whiskey sometimes.
Frisky. I mean, I'm a big Scotch whiskey drinker.
Yeah.
I don't know what drew me to it. I think just as I got older, you start understanding that drinking shouldn't be about like getting shit faced or whatever, but like there's
A journey to it.
And there's an appreciation side to it and a taste side and a connoisseur side and like just, I don't know, classier type of side.
It's tasteful. It's a tasteful way to drink.
Yeah, like I don't like this is the cheapest whiskey I would buy, but like I don't always splurge on expensive shit, but expensive shit is nice for the most
Yeah.
part. There's a difference to it. It's not you don't mix it with ginger ale. Like you drink it straight and you sip on it. Maybe with
Speaking
ice.
of drinking straight whiskey, we just want to tell you guys that this episode was brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish whiskey, triple distilled, established 1829. It's
Do
the
the Dew.
legendary Irish whiskey.
Yeah, they're all legendary.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely a fan of the whiskey. But I think the most practical form of drinking, the most pragmatic form of drinking, is what the Asians do. where they go to a barbecue restaurant or something and eat as they drink as they eat.
Yes, that is. I mean, that's the best way to to keep drinking socially too, without like. I mean, that's also like just attaching it to a whole social thing, like.
Exactly.
And like that, it's like if you have like a big business meeting, that's what they would do. They go out to eat and drink, and like it's a way for everyone to bond and like come together, or whatever. And like you could also not just sit there and drink and look like and get shit faced or whatever, and like make an ass of yourself, or like everyone's
so it's
on
like
the same level.
Yeah, like it's like where like if you're like Korean and your Korean wife sees you drinking at home from a bottle of soju, she'd be like, "What the fuck are you doing? Here, take some food. What do you want? You want kimchi? You want some leftover meat from last night? Like you got to eat something."
I always drink soju with Korean barbecue.
Yeah, that's what you do. You got to eat and drink. You can't just drink that shit.
Although I hate drinking beer and eating food. I don't know why. I don't like drinking beer and eating food. Maybe it's because of my taste in beer, like I like heavier stuff. So
Actually, no, there's nothing wrong with that. To be honest, I'm so far divorced from like bar foods these days. I don't remember the last time I've had something deep fried. I don't remember the last time I've had something like extra carby, like a huge order of like French fries and a burger, like a triple I don't remember the last time. It's always been this like boring ass fucking steamed vegetable bullshit. But you know what? Like yeah, like food wise, I'm depressed, but I feel great. Like I feel really good.
yeah, no, you do. Like you can tell when you've eaten something shitty, and like you'll feel like that. Like I don't know. Like I don't like fried foods very much because I feel like I feel like I just ate a fried food.
No, I love fried foods though because it's not.
They make you feel crap.
I would not have stopped eating fried foods if it wasn't just for the fact that I wanted to look a certain way, right? If I never wanted that, then I would keep eating fried foods because I like the taste of fried foods. I think that shit is delicious. I think it's good. I love soul food. I love like food that's really bad for you that just tastes really good. I like comfort foods, but like if I'm trying to do something, then I can't do that. Then I'm gonna like not do it. But like. It's also it just I already knew it was good, but now like it's reinforcing how good it was in my mind. I was like that shit was good, but like I also see how it's bad for you. Like,
yeah, but also like, when you like tell yourself you're gonna stop doing something, it also makes it much more attractive.
but now it's like I take I have more. It's like I take less for granted, like natural foods.
Mm-hmm.
Like I understand now why like people of a older culture of a more ancient culture or ancient civilization would be physically healthier, having like less options for processed foods. I get it. I get why, and I do feel better, cutting that out, having the ability to even, because like if you think about it, like lower class people, like lower income families cannot afford to eat healthy. Eating healthy is now a luxury.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the most like nutritious meal per dollar, it's the McDouble from McDonald's. Like it's crazy. Per calorie, per nutrition wise, the McDouble is the most nutritious meal you can get per dollar. And so yeah, now it's like
where no one's advocating to eat at McDonald's.
What?
No one's advocating to eat at McDonald's for nutrition, though, right?
Well, on one hand, it's celebrating McDonald's for at least being there when no one else will be. But at the same time, it's like really depressing. It's like, how the fuck did we get here? Like, it's really fucked.
Money.
Yeah, capitalism.
Just supply and demand, convenience.
Yeah.
And money.
Yeah, and it's also we can't really we can't give too much credit to the quality of the kind of meat you get in McDonald's because it's all shitty. I mean, like we eat chicken, quote unquote chicken, but it's not really chicken. It's our idea of a chicken. It's really this just mutated bird with gigantic tits that vaguely resembles a natural chicken.
Yeah, our chickens look different than wild chickens from other countries, and taste different.
Yeah, because we grow our chickens, from like this designer template, just pumped with hormones and shit.
Yeah, so they grow up faster, and they get bigger,
plumper, more voluptuous.
Because you feed them corn.
Yep. And that's why our chicks are just getting like shorter, smaller, bigger boobed, bigger butted, and, instead of like chicks becoming 6 feet tall and like Valkyrie women, they're just getting smaller and more like plump and voluptuous because we're all same with guys, too. Guys,
it is in the food. Like, the most quality and expensive versions of any, meat animal
Yeah.
That you're gonna eat like it. Their diet is like part of their diet, and like their quality of life is directly tied into the taste and the value of it. So
I personally like fatty meats. Like if it's got a lot of fat, I like it. Actually, no, that's not true. I like it when my meat is like it's got like pus coming out of it because it's so like factory farmed.
pus comes out of it.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, if you get like a really like a piece of shit steak and you throw that on the frying pan, you'll see some pus leaking out.
Ugh, I want that. Pay
Like-
for at least medium range steak.
It's like the Western beef steak, the family fruit steak.
Oh, I have seen like videos of like
It's the key food steak.
this guy making like food from like Dollar Tree, like steak and shit like that, and like it's awful.
You know what I really like? I like seeing footage like from dudes in jail who are able to like make the best meal they possibly could, being given the ingredients they have, and they do like this crazy shit. Well, they'll take like plastic bags and they'll put like this, like a mixture of like crushed up like fruity pebbles and shit, and some other like sweet condiments and like mashed up bits of honey buns and stuff, and make this like pound cake that's
with a glass of toilet wine.
yeah, with a glass of toilet wine. Yeah, I like that shit. It's
They can do with what you got.
yeah, it's very industrious, you know. You're like the prison chef. And that's why in prison apparently like the most valuable thing you can get is ramen packets.
Oh, what is that? I think it's in Brooklyn Nine-Nine where Andy Samberg's character is undercover and like in jail, and he has to make a deal with somebody, and they want ramen. He's like, yeah, well, no problem, I'll get you ramen. Like, it's someone to smuggle in. He's like, but I want like salsa picante ramen. He's like, what? Like, that's the hard shit to get. But like he gets it for him, and then the warden like catches him. He's like, how do you explain the salsa picante ramen? He's like, I didn't know. He's like, that's street ramen. Everyone knows that. You can't get that ramen in here. It's stupid.
No, I mean you're right. If like, cause like I know if ramen is gold in prison, they're definitely dealing with like Maruchan bullshit. Like
Oh
chicken
yeah, it's
noodle
not like
beef.
Nongshim.
But
and,
if they have the
shit.
they have like the Shin ramen.
Yo,
or some
like
shit.
it's only for like white collar fucking like jail, white collar minimum security jails.
Yeah, like the Chinese stockbroker fraudsters. And
Yeah,
it's like I
You
want
get that
the
good shit, that spicy Nongshim.
Yeah.
A little bit of black garlic oil.
Yeah. Instant foods. Yeah. It's good. No, it's good stuff though. I like the spicy stuff. And it's like if they got that in like Gen Pop, oh my god, dudes would be killing each other for that packet.
Probably do. There's probably like always a guy that like has it like buried. Like he's not like digging a hole to get out. He digs a hole to hide his good ass ramen.
Yeah. There's also the difference between jail and prison. Like max security, like that's like the end of the line.
Oh yeah. I try not to think about prison. Just 'cause I have no interest in going there or knowing anything about it.
Yeah,
I
but-
mean, if I was going there, I'd be like, let me read up on how prison works.
But at any time, you could just go there.
Oh, to visit.
No,
or
no.
be sentenced there.
Sentenced
Yeah,
there.
but I'll have some time before they actually send me all the way to like legit prison. I'm not going away for a violent crime. I'm going away. If I do anything, it's a white collar crime.
Or-
so I'll go
or-
to jail. I'll go to court.
Or reckless endangerment, driving drunk and shit.
I would never.
You're just
I
saying.
would never do that. I'm serious.
No, I'm just saying. I'm saying even though
I'm an adult now. I grew up.
even though you did, you don't. You still.
I've done it before, and when I was younger, and it was very foolish. But I would
If
never.
you did though,
Yeah.
if you did, you know you got to get out of jail free card.
No, it doesn't work that way. My get out of jail free card is that like I have no prior convictions, and I'm white, and I can cry a lot.
I'm sorry. I'm a little Christian boy.
I'm white.
I'm not Catholic.
I'm white.
I'm a non-Catholic white boy.
That's my card.
No, New York, that won't help. It's like it would help you to be Catholic in the NYPD
No, it
custody. Yeah.
Being Catholic, no. Being white would help me.
Oh, so I'm Lutheran.
No, I wouldn't. I don't think religion matters unless like the Hasidic police like arrested me.
Well, you're already white, but being Catholic could only hurt you. Like,
well, being Irish Catholic, Irish Italian, like that's
that's the least white of the whites.
Yeah, but those are all the cops, though, for the most part.
Yeah,
Majority of
so
cops
it's
are like that. Yeah.
So it could work. It could go either way.
See, if I got a Brooklyn cop from the old neighborhood, that I could really finagle.
Nah. I mean, maybe. It's just I think the many times I've had run-ins with cops, I've had the best experiences when I was just like blatantly honest about it. I'll be like, "Yeah, I fucked up.
Yeah,
You
they're
got me.
they're people. Yeah, like they can be reasoned with.
I'm sorry. And you know, it's good that I stopped doing as much shit when I got older because back then I was just like, I'm sorry. I didn't know what I was thinking. And they would look at me, they'd be like, well, you're a kid.
Yeah.
So naturally, like when I was older, I was like, I realized like I can't do that anymore. So
Oh,
I was like,
you can't admit to it now. They'll use it against you in court.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, Your Honor, he said he was retarded. He's fucking guilty,
It's
dude.
no, it's what's part of your Miranda rights. Anything you say can and will be used against you.
Yeah.
So see now, as you're older, you don't admit shit.
Yeah.
Talk to a lawyer first and ask him.
Yeah. But I don't mind. Even when I'm older, like
If you were the drunk driver in a huge car accident and they're coming to get you out of the car, just be like, I want my lawyer. Are you okay? I want my lawyer. I don't want to say anything. I'm not talking.
But
Is this your car? I want my lawyer.
right away they'll think you're a piece of shit, but you're doing the smartest thing.
Yeah,
you know?
well, because you're making their job harder. Of course you're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Were you the driver? I want my lawyer. I've never seen that car. Don't know how I got there.
It's not as bad as in China, where it's like if you hit someone, it's better to just like go back and run them over and kill them.
I don't know about that.
No, so you never heard about that?
Oh, if you like hit somebody with a car and like
If you all right, so in China, there was a time, I don't know if it's still like this, but there was a time at least where you hit someone, and if it was a manslaughter case where you hit someone in an accident and killed them, there's a fixed amount of time that you spend in prison, no matter what the case, and then you're free. You pay a fine, or you pay a fine. Like I think it's like $55,000, some shit. But if you hit someone and they live, you're indebted to them for life.
now.
For the rest of their life. So if you hit like a kid and they're on the ground like still alive, just like, oh, I got hit by a car.
Logistically, that's just not going to work out for you. Like,
Just back the fuck up and run them over until they're dead. Isn't that crazy?
if it's real.
It is real. You could look it up.
You're very well.
It would be funny if people listened to this and actually Googled it, and then they found out, wow, this motherfucker was telling the truth. I would be surprised if that's still the case. Like, they should have reformed that. Like, that's not okay. But if that's still a thing, then holy shit.
I just read about in a week or so ago in New York. This off-duty EMT worker was or paramedic or EMT, whatever, was getting into her car, and this girl who was driving down the street ends up like hitting her, but like on North Railroad, like pinning her.
Yeah.
And fucked her up really bad to where the girl had to get her leg amputated. Awful. So this happens. The girl keeps going and turns the corner, and waits till she hears cops come or whatever, and then gets out of the car and turns the corner, comes running up and goes, "I saw everything. I saw who did it. I'll show you where they went." And like when I read it, I'm like, "That's fucking genius." Get them right off your trail. Like, I got all the info. It's go west. The black car, like it's whatever. But then they kept talking to her, and then she admitted that she was high on heroin and that she indeed did it. Which, she should have stuck to her story.
Yeah.
If you're convincing enough, I feel like you'd be like, "I saw who did it. Let's go, guys." Cut and dry case. Gotta get on top of that shit. Your car's white. The hair was black.
Dude.
You went east, you go west.
Yo, let me ask you something. As a New Yorker, do you feel like crimes are happening more often or nah? Yeah.
Crime rate's up.
Do you feel it?
Do I feel it? Doesn't happen to me personally.
No, I'm saying, do you feel it's that? Because like I posted about it before, and there was Joe Solomon was like, "Fucking, you're out of your fucking mind." The pigs were the ones who were causing violent crimes. I was like, yeah, they were, but I do think that the cops, since the cops have been noticeably taking a more hands-off approach.
Yeah, they have.
They have been, right? I'm not
no,
crazy.
they have. That was kind of like it's been their response ever since
The city
their budget
demonized them. Yeah,
that and their budget was like cut. Ever since then, that's like their way of sticking it to people. I feel like, but it's not even all that intentional too. It's like a result of having your result of having your budget cut is
less people out in the streets. Yeah.
And now we have more cameras and up, so like there's less cops on the road. Whether looking for speeders or not, there's just less cops on the road to be put into different things.
Yeah.
I feel like I rarely see cops driving around. And I feel like it's because of the camera lights, the cameras, because that takes care of that part of the job.
Well, I prefer getting ticketed by cameras than getting ticketed by actual cops, because if you get ticketed by actual cops,
it's points and stuff.
Yeah. But if you get ticketed by a camera, it's like whatever.
But like back to crime too. It's because the parameters of what defines certain types of crimes have been like changed. Like it's been lowered. Like you could steal if you're caught stealing up to a certain amount of money, as long
petty larceny.
It's lower. It's not as big of a crime as it was. So people who are repeat criminals know what that line is and purposefully stay under that line so they don't go to jail and they can just keep doing it. That less arrests are being made, and like crime's getting worse here. That in summertime in New York in the subway is like a night. No, I would never. You could never convince me to take the subway in Manhattan in the summer, because that's when people get stabbed. Happens every year.
I would take it.
Nah, I don't want to get stabbed.
I don't know. I mean, you can't be afraid to use your own transit system in your city.
I'm just saying it's worse.
We just don't live in Detroit, you know?
No, we don't. We live in the safest part of New York City.
But also,
the most removed.
I do think, like, a lot of people are giving a lot of stink to this whole what's the word? This whole redoing of our rights as New York citizens to carry firearms.
What? Who's doing that?
New York. You know, you could get like a gun permit right now, right?
You could apply for a gun permit.
No, they literally reappealed that. Like, you know how like
oh, I did hear about that.
Yeah, like it's like there's nothing stopping New Yorkers anymore from getting strapped legally.
I mean, it wasn't as I don't think it's easier.
It is
easier in the sense that once you actually apply
No, because there was part of the application process. There was this one thing where it's like, I think you had to like wait on this huge waiting list, and also have to pay this fee, like hundreds of dollars, to be able to get interviewed, and even then it was most likely going to get denied by the NYPD. Like that enough people challenged that before the Supreme Court as unconstitutional. They're like, that is not American. That's not right. You can't do that to us. That's no different than like a Missouri sheriff telling the citizens in his county that they can't have guns.
Yeah, well, they're different places, completely different.
No, but it's still America though, and that's what we all still have to abide by the Constitution, regardless of what, like state law says.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's going to be a nightmare. If, like, you think about it, you're like, so you're saying, like, millions of these New Yorkers are just allowed to fucking get, like, Glocks and shit?
I still don't think it's that easy. Easier for sure, but
it is. No, it is that easy.
Okay, but the other thing is, too, so now, like, the benefit of that...
There's one thing. There's the same stipulations that you can't have in any other state. Like, if you've been in history of being in a psych ward, then yeah.
Yeah. They're still testing this background checks and all that shit. But, like, the only benefit to the city would be that... knowing who has a gun. So that helps, like, if there's a shooting in a neighborhood, they know who lives in the general area that has a gun license, and that's who they check first.
And if it's none of them, then there's a bigger problem that there's unlicensed guns going around.
But I also don't think criminals all of a sudden are going to try to get a gun permit so they can start buying guns legally, because that now they're more traceable.
But you know what I do think? I do think that what that means is that
the average New Yorker would have one.
And then they'd be able to be like, you can't mug me. I'm strapped too. I'll fucking blow you away, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Like, there's so many hipsters and like commercial types. Like, you do have people like walking around like, you know, like areas of Harlem where there shouldn't be, because it's New York City. It's so compacted and congested. You have people walking around certain areas of Brooklyn they really shouldn't be in an instant. And a couple of blocks over, suddenly they're in the wrong place.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, that is how New York works.
And then a guy comes up to them, flashes in the gun, and he's like, "What are you gonna do about it? Are you gonna give me your shit or not?" You know, now at least those people can be like, no. It's like, how do you want to do this?
That's the mentality of how more guns solve the gun problem. I don't know if that's necessarily true.
No, the gun problem is already a problem.
Yeah. But you're saying add more guns. You're saying more guns is better.
You're not going to be able to take them away.
No, not fully. They'll always be
You hear about that
illegal.
case? You know how like some counties were doing that thing where it's like, if you bring unlicensed guns and check them in, we'll give you a cash reward.
Yeah.
Some guy started like 3D printing guns and just like came in. He cashed out like 22 grand or some shit.
Damn.
Yeah, isn't that a good grift?
How do you 3D print them with what? They don't take 3D printed guns. I mean, no, those are still guns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're firearms.
That's true.
Unlicensed.
No, I know they can 3D print guns.
It was awesome.
Good for him. I mean,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
don't do
It's
anything
like-
wrong.
Yeah, yeah. It's like playing Skyrim and finding that exploit where it's like I could just like craft and like sell and
Craft, enchant, sell. Craft, enchant, sell.
yeah, exactly. He found the glitch.
Craft, chant, potion, chant, sell.
Yeah, he found the glitch. He found the exploit.
There's this game I just started playing. I like playing like these random strategy games. It's a cross between like a city builder
Yeah.
and you're essentially building your own like Banana Republic. Like you start off like as the governor, from the colony of like some whatever country prior to World War I, and you can basically support like different factions to help you overthrow them, and then start building up your country. And deciding like, do you want to? Because you'll have different factions. You'll have like the military. You'll have the religious community. You'll have communists. You'll have capitalists, and you could try to figure out who you want to like side with, and how you want to develop your country, what you want to sell or whatever, how you want to make money. Do you want to manufacture things and then sell them, or do you want to import things and smuggle them out somewhere else, type of thing? But like I just watched this guy's playthrough of it where he found a glitch where he just figured out that you could just import everything from the world trade market and then export it too. through different bonuses and things like that. But it was just funny. Like his country does nothing. He doesn't produce anything. He just imports everything and exports everything.
I think exploits make like a closed system of a game more fun and interesting ultimately, because there's only so much you can do when the game's on like running on a closed loop. But when it comes to like games that are like say mass MMOs, and it's like suddenly the priority shifts for them. So they have to keep everything so airtight.
Well, yeah, because it's not about your personal experience anymore. It's about everyone else's experience. So that stops new people from like, I'm not going to play if I know like there's people who know how to like break this game.
Yes, but there's games that have spent like so much time in getting that balance, that dynamic so right. Mm-hmm. It's gotten to a point where once a massively multiplayer online game gets that level of like airtightness, the only thing you do is like real life subterfuge to get an edge. Like if you look at like EVE Online, for example, where like the thing about certain MMOs that sets apart from others is when they tie in like real world monetary value into certain assets in game. Mm-hmm. That's when it becomes a little like really crazy, and it gives you actual reason to go out and like fuck up another person's game. Mm-hmm. Because it's your living sometimes,
Yeah, like I know several people who like built up RuneScape accounts through exploits and sold them, or World of Warcraft ones.
Dude, it's not even just video games. Like I've seen,
that's the community's problem.
I've heard cases through like DK. DK has told me it's like, yo, if you go to like Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments, like kids get stabbed up sometimes for like the prize cards and shit.
Yeah, that could happen. That could really happen anywhere without you like thinking about it. Like anywhere where like money can be made. Like that's why I hate like anyone who gets too excitable or too like flashy with what they have. Like it always bugs me because it's like you're like making yourself a target.
Yeah, but that's like the problem. The reason why it shouldn't bug you is because if you look at the people in the top of the chain, that being flashy or whatever, they live on different rules. You know, for the street level, the
Yeah.
rules are I'm allowed to hurt you because I
Yeah,
can
that's
get
what
away.
that's what I mean. Yeah.
Whereas for the you know the upper echelon of society, they're allowed to like flaunt and flash, but they could
Well,
fuck
yeah.
each other over in other ways.
Yeah,
where,
no,
like,
yeah.
it's kind of unfair, but at the same time, I can see it. They're two different levels of game. You know.
It's different. Yeah, it's exactly.
And then there's
it
the
there.
in between, you
Mm-hmm.
know, like the millionaire, like you know, like for example, like millionaire rappers. It's like, yo, I'll kill you, dude. Like, you know, even though like millions of people know my name, like,
There's always like with the original 50 Cent, Rob what's his name? Rapper from like the early mid 90s. Shit. Can't think of his name. LL Cool J. LL Cool J was like famous and well known at that point, and like he robbed him for his chain or something, in like the early 90s.
really,
Yeah.
that's pretty sick.
Yeah, but that guy was known for he got the name. I for this as a kid, it could just be all apocryphal, but he got the name 50 Cent from like walking to CeeLo games when they were still 50 cents, and like he'd start that, and he'd build up to more money, and then rob everybody.
I watched a really funny video recently where it was on Instagram with T-Pain. Like these dudes, like they were like all fresh and at a hotel, and they knock on the door, and it was T-Pain's hotel room. And then like his security guard and like and then like as soon as the dude opened up his security tried to like shove him out, and he started dancing, and T-Pain was like, "Hey, yeah, let's see." And he started dancing, whatever, right? He's like, "Yeah, my dude," and then suddenly the dude just reaches in, snatches T-Pain's chains from the table, and runs out. And they start chasing him, and that was the end of the video. It was so funny. I was like, "Oh my god."
That's why the rich and powerful don't deal with us. Cause yeah, they have so much. We'll all rob them. Like,
Yo, Atlanta had an episode about that. Like right before Paperboy was actually rich, but he was still famous. Like
so people start like hanging on to him or whatever, and like
yeah, like his own his own plug, his own drug.
yeah, exactly.
He comes up to, he's like trying to buy him. He's like, "Yo, I'm gonna need you to leave that."
Yeah.
He's like, "I'm sorry, dude. That last joint, yo, you'll be all right." It's like, I ain't make no motherfucking money off that trend.
That's 100%. That's 100% like it. Like once you like have money, people like will look at you differently and like treat you like you're on that next level.
Like, don't worry about this, man. You'll be all right.
I think like, if you knew like a really rich person or well-off person, like you'd have those thoughts.
Actually,
Like
no.
it means so little to them, but so much to me.
No, I worked under someone like that. You know, my boss John, and you know, I'd be at his house all the time, and I would literally just see it. Like I would just see a huge stack of hundreds, and I've thought about it. Sure, like I could probably just take a couple, and he wouldn't even notice, but I never did it. And I don't know. It was just on one hand, it was just 'cause it was a shitty thing to do.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I feel like of all the people like this, of all the people who would flaunt their wealth, of all the people, I feel like he was the one guy that would notice. You know, like, and it's like a lot of rich people are retarded. I get it, but not all of them are. And I
No,
feel like
yeah.
he's one of the ones that aren't. Like, I think also he's
Well,
just
where you came from too, it could be like a test type of thing. And even that, like I don't know, I don't know. I mean, yeah, like on the surface, it is a bad thing to do, and I wouldn't do it.
well, and I also thought about it
But-
too. Like that was one aspect, but on the other hand, it's like, you know, I'd like to be able to know that I could hang around a rich guy without fucking like stealing
Yeah,
shit on him,
absolutely,
you
yeah.
know. And you know, it's like it's also like I know how you got your money, so it's not like I'd feel great about it. Like, you know, it's not like I'd be like, you know, stealing off the fruits of like whatever. It's
No, but it's Robin Hood-esque.
maybe,
I mean, if you donate some of it, maybe.
but I'm not gonna.
No, of course not. Who steals and can afford to donate? It's ridiculous.
It's like stealing from a. It's like living in a slums and stealing from the slumlord, and then expecting you to give to this other fellow slum mates. Like, no, you're gonna take that.
no,
shit.
somebody because they want to be in good with the slumlord.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna give it back to him anyway.
Yeah, exactly. No, you want to leave. Yeah, you definitely, and you know, it's just it's professionalism, I guess. At the end of the day, I'd like to take pride in like people being able to trust me to at least like when it comes to money.
Absolutely. That's a quality of like what makes you like a decent human being. If you can be trusted around money, like there's very little value in you to other people.
Yeah. I mean, like, no matter what, like, if I ever, like, fuck someone over, I'd at least like to know that I could, like, pay them back. You know, it's never a case where it's like, I just don't believe in the perfect, like, theft. I don't believe, like, I never really thought anyone could ever really get away with, like, completely stealing something and just, like, you know, being scot-free. It never works that way. Unless you're a con artist.
Yeah, but you get caught eventually, maybe.
Well,
You're fucking
usually
old school con artists.
they get caught because they can't stop.
Yeah, but I mean you're not gonna be able to stop. That's usually what happens.
Did you hear about the guy who conned Al Capone?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's in the 48 Laws.
Yeah, it was a brilliant con. I loved
He
it.
got away with it, but like that's it. He knew what he was doing from the get go. It wasn't about.
You know that same guy did a lot of other legendary cons. He managed to sell like a machine that supposedly printed money. He also sold the Eiffel Tower twice.
That was the guy who also claimed he was a Scottish prince or something like that. I feel like I'm a Scottish prince, but like he had a scam where like he was is it the same guy? There was a reason. There was a guy who like it was. I know it was the same guy, but like he was in the U.S., he was in France, and he would go to I feel like other countries and pretend he represented someone really big and he wanted to make a big investment, and you know like we want to show that you're serious about us being serious, and
Yeah.
There's like one guy, I forget that guy's name.
But when it comes to the punchline of all the best cons, it all boils down to where everybody, including the people who were conned, it really boils down to everybody feeling like they got what they wanted. You know, like, yeah, their desires may have changed in midway, somewhere along the line, but as long as they left feeling like I have no regrets. You know, like when the guy conned, say, Al Capone, right? The way he did it, Al Capone, at the end of the day, he still got to feel like a good guy. Sure, he gave away money.
Yeah,
willingly. He got what he wanted. You know, he got to feel like
no one feels like they were swindled. Like,
and there was that other con about the boxers, you know, like where they got a bunch of rich guys to bet on unlicensed boxing match, but they staged it where it's like the guy they bet on accidentally killed the other guy, and he was freaking out. He's like, "Oh shit, this is unlicensed. We're all going to jail." Mm-hmm. And they all left. They left the money there, and they got the take of it. Yeah. So stuff like that, you know, like that's an example where the perfect con is where everyone gets to leave feeling like they got what they wanted. They just want to leave being hands clean of anything.
Yeah.
And they did. They got what they wanted.
Yeah.
They didn't care about the money at the end of it. So that's
that
what
happens where like I feel like I've seen like there's been parties when I was younger where like it's a keg and like you buy you pay $10 for a cup and you have limited beer and it's like, oh shit, the cops are coming, everyone get out of here, because they don't have more than one keg or they just don't want to spend the money and they already got your money.
True.
Yeah, it's an old school one, but that's the mentality of it. That's how you get away with it. Yes, by like making sure your mark is like satisfied.
Yep.
Or doesn't like think that like doesn't think anything's up or doesn't feel like they lost like everything. So like it's the best way to just be able to slip in and out.
Pretty much.
I mean, the people in the Brooklyn Bridge probably were being sold the Brooklyn Bridge probably weren't super happy. Or like Ponzi scheme people. But see, the problem with Ponzi schemes, I feel like, is because somebody who's wealthy or powerful enough gets fucked over.
They're gonna be pests.
Yes. Like the only reason why Bernie Madoff looks like the biggest villain of the 21st century is because he fucked over rich people.
Well, he also didn't give them the proper payoff, like the proper emotional payoff.
No, it's just like it's not even the proper payoff. It's just that like it just became obvious that like he stopped paying. He has, because Ponzi schemes, like, you're always using the investments from new people to pay off the people at the top. You want to keep happy. Also, it's like, and then he had to stop. Like that got smaller and smaller.
I just don't think like most real Ponzi schemes start off where the guy says, "I'm going to start a Ponzi scheme." I think it usually starts where the guy believes.
He got in trouble. I'm sure that's what happened. He fucked up somewhere, and he was like, "Well, let me just, what if I
take
just
a gamble?"
Yeah, and I'm sure that happens often with investors. it probably just happens once or twice, or maybe like it's just small, and like they do recover. But I'm sure he just he got caught in a tough spot like that, wasn't able to recover, and then like it just like kept building, and then no one was noticing. So like it didn't. He just kept going with it. But I'm sure like what happened was it got out of control.
Yeah.
Jordan Belfort, this shit just got out of control. If he had stayed small, he could have gotten away with it for way longer.
It's true.
But like going on Wall Street, as starting a brokerage, an official one.
Yeah, no, it's because you keep wanting to fucking scale. And, we are way above time. But anyway.
Yeah, I figured.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
For showing up to another one. You did great.
Nah.
We love you. Good night,
Yeah.
everyone.
Good night.
You motherfuckers.